Hey everyone, welcome back to YouTube. I am diving into a subject here about being trainable as a man. So, how to become trainable as a man. I've just seen so many dudes become untrainable at later stages of their lives, and it saddens me because there's no way that you are a master of anything, which because the master means that you have no more room for growth. And that to me is saying, like, there's nobody out there that is that. There's always room for improvement. We are imperfect beings. We're also inconsistent. We have variables outside of our abilities that happen to us. Even psychologically, something being thrown off can cause our abilities to be thrown off. And we have a bad day, right? So you can't be perfect in everything. So what I really want guys to start talking about is how to become trainable again. It's one of the biggest compliments you can get as a man is when someone says that you're highly trainable. That means that you have a willingness to be open and receive new information, implement it, and be capable in performing it, whether or not it's good or bad, but capable of performing it and then improving in it, right? That is what we're talking about on how to become trainable. Part of the problem that we have right now in the men's personal development space is that men don't believe they're trainable anymore. They don't want to listen to somebody about how to improve their interpersonal or their interpersonal skills with themselves, how to introspectively look at their perceptions and grow and challenge themselves. Men don't want to do that. They're untrainable in that area, and that's causing a lot of the problems we see today. One, with unhealthy men that are raising boys, who these boys are going to be unhealthy men in the future. And then two, the inability to want to evolve, like to look back at the past and say that was the pinnacle of masculinity. Bro, it was not. It was not. Now, there were some tough motherfuckers back in the day. We can talk about that, sure. And they're tough generations, but that ain't the pinnacle of masculinity because those guys had a lot of problems internally. And we see that when you talk to these older generations, you see a lot of the issues they struggled with. And a majority of them are wish they will come out and say it, wish they could have processed and done things differently. They didn't have the tools, they didn't have the exposure to social media where you actually have some good people out there doing really solid work who are trying to help men. um, they didn't have a lot of these things at their fingertips, and we do now. And so for us to pay tribute to the men that we look up to, for us to pay tribute to the generations we look up to, we need to start doing better for ourselves. We got to start leveraging all of these assets, all of this free content that's getting put out there. We got to start leveraging that to do better, to evolve more. So what are we talking about when it comes to how to become a trainable man? Well, we need to release the notion that you are an expert at everything. Just because you know a little about something or are good at multiple things does not make you an expert. And if you believe that you are and you constantly walk around as though you are, you're going to be untrainable. You also have to realize that there is no point in your life that you cannot be taught something. That to me is one of the biggest issues that we also face. I talk to older guys and they believe just because they're older, there's nothing they can learn. Bro, one, you fucking don't know everything. And two, your fucking generation was so emotionally crippled. A lot of the processing you failed to do is what's causing you the problems you have today, psychologically and also relationally. So, guys, you don't know everything. You got to release this notion that you do and allow yourself to be open. You also have to implement tools and tactics and advice immediately. So this is one of the things that I failed to do very early on, was that I would get good information from somebody I actually had some semblance of value for, and was like, "Oh, that's really good." And then I wouldn't implement that piece of information, or I wouldn't implement that piece of introspection or growth or whatever it is. And then I'd forget about it. And then I would just keep going on with my life. And part of becoming trainable, again, this video, how to become trainable is to implement early and implement often. Whatever it is that you're gaining from somebody else, if you're at a social event, make a note of it in your phone, implement it the next day if it's possible, if it's a tactical, tool that's being given to you. Like, implement that quicker and allow that to at least be test ran in your life. You don't have to keep it. Not all wisdom, not all information is gold, and not everything fits into your life. Like, you have the ability to say, like, that just doesn't work for me, or that kind of sucked. But if you don't give it the opportunity to be successful, and you don't implement that in your life at some point, then you're never going to know if it could have improved or evolved you. But it allows you to show that you are trainable when you implement those things and give it a shot. That means you're not stuck in your ways. You're not obstinate about your path. You're not in the belief that you know all and everything that you have is the right way to do it. All of those are wrong answers. And so if you are practicing and you're getting information and practicing that information and putting it to use, then you are being trainable, guys. Like I said, I've had it happen to me a couple different times where people have that I respect have told me that I'm highly trainable. I could be the least trainable guy. I could be somebody who absolutely carries a chip on my shoulder because of my past and be like, no, I'm not trainable. I've done some high level stuff. Like, I did it for many years. Like, I was freaking excelling in those areas. I'm not trainable. There's nothing that someone can teach me that I can't figure out myself, or that I don't know, right? Like, there's a lot of ways for me to say that and hold a chip on my shoulder. And I know there's men listening right now. You probably are the same way. You've done some stuff in your past at a high freaking level, and you could carry that chip around. But being trainable is an asset, man. It's not a weakness. It's something that's going to help you drive your life to have better experiences and also just simply improve, guys, especially improving in areas that you know nothing about, or improving in areas that you're not super strong in, and even in areas that you are good at. Like, it's going to help you improve faster, and it's going to stop you from hiding behind your insecurities and being defensive and projecting out, vomiting just nonsense on people and excuses on why you can't learn something or why it's not important to you. Like, all that stuff, it's a fucking headache, guys. Like, it just gives me a headache thinking about it. But I know I can picture so many scenarios and so many conversations that I've heard this. I've watched men do it. I've done it myself. And it's just like makes me want to vomit, because I'm like, bro, just how much are you restricting what you experience in life? How much are you restricting your impact and what you receive in life also? And then how you impact others, the amount of knowledge you could have gained that could have helped somebody else along the way, and you completely gave it up and passed it by, all because of the fact that you were untrainable. The last thing for being trainable is being accepting of feedback and removing any notion of being personally attacked. This one I find incredibly hard for men to do. Most men want to feel attacked, and I say want to feel attacked because of the fact that their insecurities are so big when somebody comes at them with information either they didn't know or something about how to improve. Men get so defensive that their insecurities stand right up. The ego jumps in, they block everything out, and then they are untrainable. They're unwilling to build themselves and do better. You got to be accepting of feedback. One of the things that even in Toastmasters, I do Toastmasters to help me improve my public speaking so that I can do great stuff on stages and really impact people, but it's to sharpen my skills. But Toastmasters, one of the things they ask you when you go through some of their coursework is like, are you accepting of feedback, or do you get defensive? Like, because most people want to take feedback as a personal attack. And if you take feedback as a personal attack, you probably take a lot of other nonsense in your relationship, if you're in one, as a personal attack as well, when it's not. And all of that is to say that that's your insecurities wanting to be protected. That's your ego coming up and your insecurities being like, oh, no, 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 we can't have this. We can't have somebody tell us we don't know what we're doing. We can't have somebody tell us that there's something to improve on. I'm 37. I can't improve on anything else. I'm set in my ways. No, man, you are just as fresh and new in a lot of areas of life, and also in areas that you do know. You're still fresh and new to the aspect of there's always something to learn. There is some nuance, there is some kind of niche, there's something that you can improve on. Even if you don't think you have something new you can learn, you can always hone a craft. I mean, arguably the best quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, guarantee you, if you talk to him, there's a lot of things that dude was like, yeah, I wasn't great at this, I wasn't great at that, but I worked on it a lot. It still wasn't my best, but I still worked on it so I could at least be okay or good at it, right? You're talking about a guy that played football for over 20 years as a quarterback and won 7 Super Bowls. I mean, I guarantee you he would say that. And that's the kind of level of trainability we need as men, as everyday men in normal life. This shouldn't just appeal to the 1% best athletes out in the world or the 1% top dogs in any job. They know how to be trainable. That's why they're at the top, because they constantly train. But for some reason, the everyday man thinks I can't be trained. And that is the difference between being at the pinnacle and being average. If you're going to sit there and say that you're untrainable, welcome to being average. You will continue that lifestyle until your end of days, and then you'll end up with regret. But if you're willing to say that I'm going to be trainable, that I'm willing to open myself to feedback, that I'm willing to open myself to growth, to mentoring, to being guided, to being coached, then you are going to change your life trajectory. People are going to see you differently. You're going to experience the world differently, and you're going to gain so much more in this life than you ever could have imagined just by saying, I am trainable. So make sure that you guys, if you want to become trainable, implement these things. Make sure that you know that there's always something to learn, and don't try to position yourself always as the expert. Listen to other people. Now, yes, you may know more than them, and at some point you can start speaking and shedding knowledge if you realize that that person is not where you are in the level of expertise. But that still doesn't mean you can't learn something from that person, because maybe they just see something a little different than you. So being open is a huge part. Remember, the top 1% of any industry is always willing to be trained. The average person is not. Which one do you want to be? All right, man, if you enjoy this channel, please make sure you hit the follow and subscribe button here in YouTube. Make sure that you check us out every week. We do got weekly episodes coming out, and really, really enjoy being here. So make sure you guys also throw some comments down below the videos. Let everybody know what you like about the video, and share this with somebody. Share this with anybody that you think it's going to benefit, so we can all grow together as men. I love being here on YouTube. I love sharing this with you guys. This is content specifically here that I create these videos, where I'm not doing this on any other platform. Now, there are some resemblances of like topics, but I'm not teaching some of these tactics on other platforms. You guys are getting this exclusively on YouTube. So if you want more, make sure you continue to tune in, hit subscribe, and start checking us out. Also, if you want to watch some of my long form podcasts, we are putting those now on YouTube here, where you can check out some of my interviews with some amazing guests, and you can go ahead and sit and take a load off and gain hopefully some knowledge and some wisdom on how to improve your life. All right, everybody, thank you for showing up, and I'll see you all next week.